So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics fucking podcast. I'm still wondering if I should actually just make these podcast episodes explicit or actually clean, but I'm not quite sure if, what's explicit, if this is also swearing and whatever, because I don't know the rules, I don't know the laws, but what I know is that my fucking closet is open, which shouldn't be the case. So, just close it, and as you can see, or maybe can see in the background, we will go ahead with Sleep Smart by the author, I forgot him. But it's a him, this is what I know for sure, and it is quite a great book and something that I'm pretty interested in for my personal life, and I think this is also something that could contribute a lot of your lives, and therefore this is just, a win-win fucking situation. But yeah, so this is actually the second part. Therefore, I would really invite you to just go to the last episode. I think that you should, totally see it. I named it "How to Sleep Better." I think. No, totally. I've named it like this, and I would really suggest you and invite you to go through the first episode. Just maybe you, if you do not have the time to do it, maybe you listen to it as a podcast, which is I think a pretty great way to get the fullest out of the episodes. Most of the time, because sometimes I'm actually showing some pictures that I do then have to explain, which is not the same as actually looking at them yourself. But for the most part, I think this is actually a pretty good way to consume what I'm just putting out and to consume what's in these summaries and in these books. But I think we will go ahead with optimum temperature, which should be cool. And this is totally something that I knew before. A lot of people suggest, and this is actually something that I've pointed out at the end of the last episode, is that it should actually be 18 degrees Celsius, which is 64.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, or 291.15 Kelvins. So the optimum temperature is cool. I bet you are familiar with that feeling of being too hot to sleep, tossing and turning trying to find a cool patch in the bed. Temperature is actually really important when it comes to getting a good sleep. Stevenson, he's called Stevenson, explains that thermoregulation has a big influence on your sleep cycle. Instinctively, your body should know to drop your body temperature to the optimum sleep temperature when it's bedtime. But if the conditions are too hot, it can become extremely challenging for your body to regulate actually. So this is why it is important to have a cool environment in your bedroom, but ensure that it is not too cool also, which is totally something that I think actually pisses me off more than just having it too warm. If it's too warm, I just, kind of find a way to, open my windows and therefore that it is getting a little bit cooler, or I'm opening my door in terms of my actual room door, or I'm just doing something that it is actually, getting a little bit cooler, or I'm just drinking a glass of water or whatever. But with being too cold, actually because my heater is such a piece of shit, it actually takes so long that it actually gets a little bit warmer in my room, that it's most of the time pretty annoying if it's too cold. So take a warm bath or shower an hour or two before bed. The increased core body temperature from the heat will fall accordingly and level out a little cooler right before bed, which is something I definitely not do, because I'm just a really, really fucking appreciator of cold showers. Why? Because I think it's good for your body, and it is also good for your discipline. If you just really stick to taking a cold shower, which is totally something that I do not want to do. Some sort of I do want to, because nowadays it's more like it's harder to not do it than doing it actually, which is the same thing with my nutrition. But it is something sometimes, especially in winter, which is not that nice. It's not like I'm so fucking pumped to get in the cold shower and just freeze my ass off. No, this is not something I think of, but I understand and I know that this is really building my discipline and is really building a healthy body for myself. And I also think that this is also kind of contributing your recovery after you've worked out or did some kind of a sport. But also, which is something that I think is scientifically proven, but I'm not quite sure, is that taking cold showers actually reduces the white fat that's contained, or that your body contains, or that your body has, and therefore kind of but builds up the brown fat, which is actually the fat that is regulating your temperature. I think if it's cool or warm, is both sides. And I think, and this is not something that is proven, but it's some kind of my experience. Through these cold showers, my body got enabled to really regulate its temperature so well that I'm only sweating when I'm really running or really doing something that's pretty fucking exhausting. I'm not sweating very easily. If it's 200 degrees Celsius in my room, or it feels like it, then I will definitely sweat. Yeah, but in terms of going around or running a little bit, it's not like that I'm sweating pretty easily. It could also be in terms of myself and my genes and whatever, but I do kind of think that this has also something to do with taking cold showers. Bedtime. Getting to bed at an appropriate time can be real difficult. Yeah, that's fucking true. It's easy to stay up late watching Netflix, and all of a sudden it's after midnight and you realize you need to be up again at 6 a.m. Stevenson explains how getting to sleep at the right time will improve the quality of your sleep dramatically, which makes sense because you get more sleep, but it's okay. I'm just really curious about it. So Stevenson explains how getting to sleep at the right time will improve the quality of your sleep. Also of your life actually. Dramatically. He explains that the time between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is considered a magic window of sleep. Scientifically explained, this is because your hormone secretion or whatever and recover is doing its best work during this time. Stevenson explains that it doesn't come down to how many hours you get at night. You might still only get 6 hours, but if 4 of those hours were between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., you're already doing better than someone who got 6 hours from 2 a.m. till 8 a.m., which is definitely kind of interesting. I do not know if this is true, so I know this is always the difficult part about talking and pretty much talking about scientific things, because often it's like, okay, they make a statement, but this is nothing that's explained pretty much. There is no evidence and there is no validation for why this is actually true. And therefore, you should always be a little bit skeptical when you're reading things about health and sleep and all these body-related things, at my point of view. So Stevenson explains that your body gets a second wind after about 10 p.m. if you're not already asleep. This is a release of melatonin that will, as a result, make getting to sleep harder. So try your best to be asleep by 10 p.m. whenever you can. Sleep cycles are your body's natural rise and fall of sleep. So sleep cycles are your body's natural rise and fall of sleep depth, which take about 90 minutes. By waking up at the top of a cycle, you wake up feeling refreshed and alert. Wake up at the bottom about 45 minutes in, and you'll wake up feeling pretty groggy. This is something that I understand. Sometimes you pretty much feel very bad if you just, get up at certain times. But which is definitely something that I haven't, been thinking about quite in a scientific way, and I haven't thought about actually looking it up, which is always a good thing. So if you're very curious about, why you're feeling a certain way, sometimes you might, look it up, but, be conscious about the fact that, often it comes up to you having cancer, because this, the most, I think the most often answer of Google or, the net doctors, as I would say, that they actually have cancer, which is, at the end, total bullshit. But yeah, there is a reason, I think, which is that a lot of things that you do and a lot of things that are just in the world, whether it's pollution or whether it's unhealthy eating, a lot of these things just result in pretty much getting cancer. The magical magnesium. First of all, if this is something about supplementing some vitamins or minerals or whatever magnesium is, I think it's a mineral, isn't it? Yeah, it's a mineral. And I think at the end, I think it's, you can totally just consume it by regular food. You do not have to just take it in through pills or through some syrup or some other shit. At my point of view, everyone here, on everyone in this audience that I'm having, or everyone on the world, is theoretically pretty much able to get all the vitamins and all the minerals that he or she needs. It's always in terms of how consistent you are with your healthy eating, how strict you are with your healthy eating, and how conscious you are about what you're eating. If you do not know what the certain things you're eating contain, then it gets a little bit difficult. Yeah, totally. But at the end, I also have to say, okay, if it's like you're not getting any magnesium, you should totally supplement it. If you do have some sort of a disease, or if you can't eat certain things that contain a lot of magnesium, and therefore it's even harder or even more difficult for you to get in this already difficult to consume mineral. So Stevenson raves about magnesium. I'm sorry. It's naturally occurring mineral that has numerous benefits to the body, including blood sugar regulation, circulation improvement, pain reduction, muscle relaxation, and in general an all-over stress reducer. As an all-rounder, when it enters the body, magnesium has so many areas to work on that it is quickly used up. Stevenson explains that approximately 80% of us are deficient in magnesium. This is something that I think a lot of vitamins or minerals, a lot of things about these things, are actually, their thing. What I want to say is that a lot of people just really lack of a lot of vitamins and a lot of minerals. I think it's not only magnesium, but it's, pretty much, 80% of us is quite a lot. I think it's, also the same with probably, I don't know. There might be some things like not only magnesium, but at my point of view, there are also some other minerals a lot of people, and just a really high percentage of the whole population, are just really lacking, whether it's due to them not eating properly, or whether it's them not being able to just eat proper food. Because if you just be like, okay, 80% of the whole population is is deficient in magnesium, you just also include the people who are living in very, very poor areas, and therefore it's just some kind of clear, or it just makes sense that these people do not have the right food, or just can't consume the right food. But either magnesium bath salts or body oils will get some extra magnesium into your body, reducing your stress and encouraging a better night's sleep. Stevenson suggests either of these sources of magnesium over pills, as the benefits can be lost during digestion, which is definitely something you should look out for. A lot of supplements actually do kind of reduce their ability themselves to just provide you these certain minerals or vitamins, whatever you're just taking in. So keep the magnesium infusion beside your bed and apply it to areas that are sore or stressed, so on a chest, a neck, and or shoulders, whatever is sore or stressed. Sleep Sanctuary. It's SANCTURARY. Whatever this is, I can actually look it up. I'm always saying that I do not know what certain things mean, but because I'm pretty used to not being able to kind of click anything on the websites that I was used to working on, now I pretty much have the opportunity to just look it up and to not let you wait. So sanctuary, which is okay, it makes sense. So many of us are probably guilty of using our bedroom as a multi-purpose room for entertaining friends, for getting work done, or as a makeshift dining room for eating takeout while watching a movie. However, this can have a big negative impact on your sleep. Why? And this is something I could totally explain it on myself, because you actually then have the pattern to just do everything in this certain room, also including sleep, but also including work and all the other things he already pointed out, which then lets the body think and lets the body just create a pattern that this room is not only about sleep. And therefore, if you just go to sleep, your body thinks like, okay, maybe it's now time to work. So therefore, it's maybe not producing as much melatonin as it should. But if you have a certain room, or just a room on its own that is only for sleeping, your body just totally knows, okay, this room is only for sleeping. Therefore, when you're just walking into this fucking room, chances are pretty high that your body just really puts out a lot of melatonin, or just, lets you feel sleepy. The bedroom should only be used for two things: sleep and the other thing. Okay, so Stevenson explains that doing work in bed is possibly the worst thing you can do to your sleep quality. So especially just doing some things in your bed rather than having, the other thing, and sleeping actually, which makes sense because it's also about these patterns that I was just explaining before. Now I'm pretty much, because I only have one room, I'm pretty much sitting on my desk quite next to my bed. So therefore I think this is some kind of a better way than just, actually being in bed and working in bed. So even this simple task of replying to emails is a big no-no. The last thing you want to do is associate your bed with any kind of stress. Another consideration to take is the air in the bedroom. Stevenson recommends ensuring that there is a source of fresh air every day. He explains that without the intake of fresh air, the room's air will stale and the ions in the air literally lose their negative charge. We want as many negative ions as we can, as they are energizing. They eliminate odors, whatever this is called. But actually, I odor. It's actually odor. The nice thing about all the iOS and or macOS probably, or OS X devices, or I think it's actually only the MacBook. If you're just really pressing hard into the trackpad, you're actually able to kind of look up certain words, which is for me pretty easy and pretty simple to use, and it's pretty handy for me because I actually can see, okay, how do I pronounce this word and what this actually means in German. They eliminate odors, which is, I haven't thought about it, actually meaning like, some smells or notes or whatever, mold and other nasties in your house. Another great idea from Stevenson is to have a house plant in your room. That's definitely good, and there are certain plants, you can totally look them up, that are actually producing more or refreshing the air more than other plants. So it's not like every single plant is doing the same task, or every single plant is doing the same task of, refreshing your air and, making CO2 to oxygen again, because they actually do it. Not every just plant is doing it the same way or in the same amount. So therefore, I just before my mother threw it away, unfortunately, I do had some kind of little bush. Is it a bush? I think it's a bush. It's some kind of plant with a lot of arms. Actually, it looked like a really funky octopus, or corals, actually like a coral. And this was really great, as the people or the shop pretty much suggested me when I was buying it, that it is good for just refreshing your air and creating more oxygen than other plants. So get at least 1 house plant and keep work out of the bedroom, which is totally not pretty pretty easy for a lot of people, especially people that do not have that much money, because if you do just live in a one-room apartment, it might get a little bit tricky. But even though I think I've just been able to do this my whole life long, from the point where I was just born, and I think I would just be able to do it anyways in my upcoming life. But I think that this actually could be a great way to improve your sleep as well. Zero or null, whatever this is, I don't know what what title this should be actually. So as we mentioned above, the bedroom should be used for only two things: sleep and sex. Stevenson explains the effect of orgasm on your sleep. The intense conception of chemicals released in the body through orgasm is the perfect sleep inducer. So this should be pretty self-explanatory. Just remember, you don't necessarily need a partner to get the benefits. Yeah, definitely. But I think I'm just creating a few pictures in my fucking mind. You could really, yeah, totally. You could really make this, a strategy or tactic of yours. Just, fabbing, fabbing before jerking off before you go to bed, just because you're getting sleepy or just sleeping better. Yeah, might actually work. I don't know if it's, good or whatever to do it every single day, even though just, because I, talk about it. What do you think about no fab? Have you heard about it? It's just, basically not jerking off because it seems to be unhealthy or it seems to be not good or whatever. Do you think this is true? I've quite informed myself or quite, read a few things about it, and I'm not pretty sure. I'm not in the scientific space, so therefore I'm maybe the wrong person to discuss this with, but at the end I quite think like, okay, this is something natural, but I do understand that you could basically do it more often than just, having sex, because there is, at my point of view, some kind of a limit. For some of the people, it might be a little, it might be a little lower limit, or for some might be a little higher limit. The blackout. There is a reason we go to sleep at night, and that's because we are naturally wired to sleep in the dark. Stevenson explains that any source of light any source of light will have an effect on the quality of your sleep, and it is not something you can fix with a simple sleeping eye mask. Light actually has the ability to penetrate your skin, so if there is light entering the bedroom, you need to fix it. And this is actually, at my point of view, one of the reasons why we should actually rest more in the winter times, because actually, at my point of view, people, or it would make sense, people, so our really, really early ancestors, which is totally something that I'm pretty much often talking about, because I think it's kind of fascinating that a lot of things that we are doing just, right now, if it's in terms of body language or in terms of our, total behavior, a lot of things can just really, they can just be connected with our really early ancestors and, just nature and or whoever instilled these certain mechanics into us. But at my point of view, you should actually rest more in winter because there is, less sunlight than in summer. Because it would make sense, in the winter it is cold, it is exhausting for people to just go around, for example, or especially for the, really early, people or humans. So therefore, because the sun is going down very early and creates therefore a lot of more time and space for actually sleeping, it would actually make sense to go to bed earlier or just when it gets darker. And I think this is actually the way, our ancestors did it. They went to bed when it was dark, and, in the winter it is just getting darker and darker, very, very early. And this is also something that I kind of read in a book and that I was reading just, I think, a year ago or something, which was about basically the human being and, why the food we are eating is not good and what we actually should eat, and a lot of people, a kind of a history of, the human race or, the humans and so on. And, they also suggested that actually winter should be the time to rest. And and it would make sense because of the sun going down and whatever, I've explained it. So blackout curtains are a great way of getting rid of light pollution. Remove light up devices and get a dim alarm clock. Actually, I have an alarm clock that's, I think, are there any alarm clocks that are actually, quite on, or they just send out light all the fucking time? Because this would, totally be something that I would just really be pissed about. Because I have a timer which has a snooze button on it, and every time you tap the snooze button, it actually gets turned on in terms of also the light, which is, I think, also some kind of the thing he actually means. So there's either no light or either a little bit light for a certain amount of time. The train. Sleep is a process not only rest, but also of recovery. Stevenson explains that working out is the act of tearing your muscles and damaging tissues. Sleep is designed to repair the tears and aid your body in recovery, and therefore, which is totally something that I've been talking about in the last episode as well. And therefore, it is very, very important to sleep, the right amount of time or having the right amount of quality sleep if you are working out and if you're just really willing to put on some mass in terms of muscle mass. And because without sleep, your body isn't pretty much able to kind of reconstruct or recover your body. So someone who works out will create more of the hormones required to keep repairing and recovering. However, Stevenson only recommends morning workouts. If you work out just before bed, your body doesn't have enough time to reduce the core temperature, and as we discussed earlier, you need to be cool in order to have a quality sleep. It also matters how you work out. Simple cardio is good, but lifting weights will get the best results for your body. You will sleep better and feel better, and this is definitely the thing. I think, if anybody who has just some kind of trouble with falling asleep or just, sleeping in general, the best thing to do is just having an exhausting, I'm not, talking about really, running 3 marathons a day, to just really have an exhausting or kind of exhausting day. Every day, because if you're just doing things that are making you tired in terms of physically, not mentally, but please do some things that you love actually. This will totally help you fall asleep much easier. Tech stays out of the bedroom, which I think is actually something that was also pointed out, or actually was already pointed out in this summary, but let's go ahead with it. So this one should be self-explanatory, especially after we've already discussed the damaging blue light of screens and the dangers of bringing work into bed. There's a scientific evidence to suggest that people who have these devices in the bedroom and use them before bed take a longer period of time to reach a deep sleep that we require. They also don't manage to spend as long in this state. Stevenson explains that these devices are known to emit harmful electric and magnetic fields with links to health concerns actually. It's best to keep them out of the bedroom altogether, which is something that my parents always told me, not having my smartphone in my trousers pockets or in my pockets in general, because they're actually giving me cancer or just whatever. But I don't know. This is actually something that I then been thinking about, because on the one hand, these waves, because it's a magnetic wave or electric wave, these waveforms are actually either too small or too they have a too low frequency or too high frequency to actually be harmful. This is something that my physics teacher told us. I don't know if this is true. It could be true. I don't know. She explained it, and it made sense when I was listening to it. Maybe only because I was like, yeah, I can just tell this my parents, even though they just give a fuck about what I'm saying. But yeah. So use a good old-fashioned alarm clock to wake you up. Talk to your partner before bed, or having a big this should keep you more than entertained. A big orgasm. Be healthy. Actually, a good advice. Just be healthy. Just do it. Do you know this video? From what is it called? I don't know. Whatever. So be healthy. Another contribution factor to your quality of sleep is interestingly your weight. If you're sitting at a heavier weight, then you perhaps may find that your sleep is lower quality. The stress to your organs, endorphins, and nervous system from being overweight is linked to decreasing your quality of sleep. Stevenson explains that cortisol, the anti-sleep hormone, is more common in people who are overweight. It is important to focus on quality nutrition, getting a good balance of fats, protein, and carbohydrates at each meal. Too many carbs will affect your insulin levels. Focus on quality fats and proteins for optimal health, and never ever cut out fucking carbs because some shitty people say it, especially not from fruits. I totally quite understand that you may reduce your carb intake through bread or white pasta or whatever, but please do not reduce the amount of fruits you're eating. If you like fruits like me, even though I'm getting diarrhea from them, which is the fucking, the fucking other side of me just being obsessed with fucking fruits, don't cut them because they contain very, very important vitamins and also minerals. And, it's not like, okay, eating sugar as such, as industrial sugar is not pretty much same as eating a fruit, because fruit has have also fiber and, other ingredients that it seems to make you digest fruits in a different way than you actually digesting industrial sugar, or sugar that's, synthesized or whatever, so scientifically made, whatever it is called. So focus on whole foods and avoid processed food. Avoid food, especially carbs, before just bed, and start your day with a good meal. Not carbs, as this will cause an insulin spike. Something I do not know, something that I heard already, that you should actually not eat carbs in the morning. I still just, eat quite a lot of oats every single morning because I like them. And I actually do not know what I should eat instead that's not containing, carbs or a lot of carbs. But if it's about being overweight and losing weight, it always comes up to the point that actually not eating as much as you're using is, the only way, or just the easiest way to lose weight. It's, physically not, not able, it's not working that you gain weight when you're actually having less calories than your body needs. If you're eating just, 5 burgers of McDonald's, if you're just, eating very healthy, doesn't change anything and doesn't matter. But it, just matters how you're feeling and, how many you can eat or how much you can eat. Because if you're just eating a few burgers, you might, just get really, really just hungry. But, if you just, kind of used up your calories, then it is a pretty fucking fucked thing. I do just have to see. Yeah, there's quite a lot in it. So I might go through the next one, and I think this will also be the last one. So do have quite a lot for the next episode, because I think I tend to really get a little bit not sleepy, but a little bit unconcentrated when I'm going through summaries for such a long time, even though it's something I like. I think, I don't know, I'm just trying it out for at least a few months, a year maybe, and maybe even I just come to the conclusion that I say, okay, this is actually something that I do not like to do, and maybe I will just then do something else. This is pretty possible. Booze. A lot of people associate drinking alcohol with drifting off to sleep quickly. However, the speed at which you fall asleep does not correlate to the quality of your sleep. Stevenson explains that your brain and body do not completely turn off when you have been drinking, and you won't reach the optimal deep sleep state, which is something I didn't know, but which is something that, through just me thinking, could make sense, totally, because you're just, consuming something that is so harmful to your body. And I still, I understand why the governments or states or whatever, or countries actually do just, sell or allow people to sell alcohol, because it's good for the economics. And even though there are other drugs and that might be a little healthier, but at the end I would even say do not take any drugs, because it's only quite a way to escape the real world. And therefore I would just suggest you to work on the real world, to make the real world a place that you love to be at, and you just that you just love, so that you actually do not need these drugs, you do not need this Netflix, you do not need these videos, you actually do not need me, even though I'm only providing information and whatever, just because you have such an interesting life yourself, and this is something I totally wish you to have. I would rather have you just not watching my stuff, but being happy with whatever you're doing, and just actually having a great life that you are interested in and that you are just really pumped about. Even though it's quite hard for me to say, okay, I would rather have nobody watching my stuff but being very happy, but it's just the truth at the end for me. So if drinking, wrap it with some time to spare before sleep. So if drinking, wrap it with some time to spare before sleep, and ideally 4 hours. Also make sure you drink plenty of water before you hit the sack. Actually, a good thing But actually, drinking a lot of water before going to bed is something that I never do, because I tend to be a little bit feared about actually waking up and having to take a piss, which is totally something that I hate to do, because often it just ends up me not being able to sleep anymore. But I think 35 minutes, actually now 35 minutes, is actually a pretty good one. I do hope you get or got something out of this episode. If yes, would be totally nice for me. And I would just appreciate if you subscribe to the podcast or subscribe to the actual YouTube channel. And check out my other social media profiles. There I put out a lot of stuff. 8 posts a day, to be honest, or to be accurate. Even though I should do a little more. That's out of my time zone, because I'm actually only posting when I'm pretty much awake. But there are 8 hours that I'm sleeping at, so therefore I should maybe just put out posts there as well. But with that being said, I wish you the best health, wealth, health, happiness. I hope you're giving back something, and just take a look at your legacy and try to be the nicest one, even though it's something sometimes not working. But being nice in the macro is, I think, better than in the micro. But with that being said, I hope you have a fucking wonderful day or night, whatever time zone you're in.